Okay, everybody. Okay, everybody. There we go. I'm going to start a live video session with Mike Pung. Okay. So what I'm looking at doing is the 12-part session that Mike Pung created with the panning challenge. Okay. So we're gonna we'll do the first 6 and see how it goes. I don't know if I'll get anyone to watch, but anyway, hopefully if somebody does watch it, they'll like it and they'll share it. And this is totally Mike Pung's video and his creation. I'm only sharing it and spreading the word about what he had to share. It is so important to understand and share what he is teaching in these video sessions. So there's 12 parts to this video class, and I'll do the first 6 actually. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to do the first 6. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get that going. And I'm going to go ahead and load it up now. And it'll start playing immediately. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get that off there. Well, maybe I'll keep that in there a little. Okay, VLC videos. No, media source. Okay, browse. Okay, Mike Pung's classifying challenge. Okay, so first one is define gold challenge, then classify, then magnetics, then panning preparation, then backwash and tapping techniques, and then snuffer etiquette. We'll do those first 6. Okay. You can only let me open up one at a time then. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is add, hopefully I can add all 6 of those. Let's see if that works. I'm going to do the first 2. Okay, here we go. Oh wait, no, media source. Let's do the first one here. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and play. How do we play that now? Okay. Remove that one. Okay. Now, add videos. Add. Okay, it should be playing the local file. I should have 3 listed. Okay, is it playing at all? it's not playing it. Oh boy, okay. How do I do that now? Okay, let's clear that out. Let's get rid of that. That does not work done that way. So let's get rid of that. And now let's add VLC video source. This will let me add several. Okay, here is what I wanted to do. Okay, add files. There we go. There we go. Now it added all 6. That's what I wanted to do. Exactly. Okay, now and I should hit OK, and it'll start with number 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK, and then I'm gonna minus or minimize that. Put me down there. Okay, and then we're gonna go VLC source. There it is. Enjoy.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Pung from GoldCube. For years at the GPAA Gold and Treasure Expo, I've been doing the fine gold recovery seminars. Now, most of that has been concept, but today what we're going to do is we're actually going to take real dirt, real concentrates, and Red's going to mix me up a batch. He says he's going to make it tough on me. We'll see how that works out. But we're going to go through the entire process that I talk about in those seminars. We're going to go all the way from the dirt, and we're going to finish up by having our gold put in a vial. Let's do this thing.
Okay, he's gone. This is the stuff that he wanted me to use here. See that? I'm going to doctor it up a little bit. I had this stashed back over there. This is nothing but black sand. And look how much of this is in it. Ah, yeah, let's just dump the whole thing in there. This is some secret stuff some guy sent me. He goes, nobody's ever going to get the gold out of this black sand. I have the toughest black sand anybody's ever seen in the country. We hear that a lot, believe me. We get that all the time. He's going to get that too. Okay, now to make this even a little more interesting, since I really don't know how much gold is in this at all. There could be nothing. Who knows? Here we go. This is 2 grams of gold right here. Local gold from Colorado. Here we go. I'm putting it in. Now let's see if we can get it all back. That's the challenge.
Red, you got it done yet?
Yeah, Mike, come on. Come on, I got her done, yeah.
I was looking for it and you already got it taken care of. How about that?
Yeah. Well, there you go, man.
Cool. Good God. Oh my God. What did you do?
Does that feel a little different than what we started with?
Holy crap.
All right, let's see if he can do it. What do you think? You think he can do it? Do I get my gold back, or are we going to have to take it out of his hide? We'll find out.
It's a fail. Sorry about that.
All right, I'm out of here.
Thanks, Red.
We'll see you, Mike.
All right, now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take everything through the 1/8 inch classifier. So I'm just going to, Jesus is heavy. We're going to run this through the 1/8 inch classifier. Now, remember what we was talking about. Everything needs to be 1/8 of an inch or smaller. So to pass this part of the test. Now you can see we've got some of that material that's oversized. We'll pan that in the +8 batch. Now everything that's below here, we're going to classify down into 16, 30, 50, 100, and then minus 100. We're going to put each of our classified sizes into a little tray so we can keep track of it real well. We got our first classification done through an 1/8 inch. Now we're going to go from 16 to 30 to 50 to 100. We've got some blue trays set out here so you can see exactly how this material breaks down. Let's start out with just a little bit of material in here. So just a little at a time, we're going to put that whole thing in the stack of classifiers here. Once you've got it in the stack, we'll be able to cap it off. We should be good. Now, we're going to take off the first tray. Everything that's 16 plus, that's between an 8 and a 16, is going to go into that first tray. The next one is from 16 to 30. Put it in that next tray. $30 to $50. Got that baby in there. And then from 50 to 100. That goes in there. And then everything that's 100 minus. Wow, there's a lot of 100 minus in there. Red, what did you do to me? It's going to be fun. All right, we're going to continue through the rest of this and get all that stuff classified out. Like we said earlier, the golden rule, if everything in your pan is the same size, gold rules. We've got everything classified. Now we have to take and get all the magnetics out of it. We're going to be using a mechanical magnetic thing. You don't want to just use a magnet. You got to have the ability to release. So we've got to be mechanical. But sounds fun, doesn't it? Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take the 16 to 30 mesh stuff. This 16 to 30 mesh, you see what it looks like there? And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of black sand in there, but watch this. Look at that wad of black sand. That's the stuff we're going to pull out. That's the middleweight. Now, when we finished with this batch, we're going to have nothing but very light dirt and very heavy gold. Remember, whenever you're removing the magnetics from your material, you have to make sure it's 100% dry or underwater. The other important fact is this magnet, just like a crane game, is going to pick up more than just magnetics. There's going to be other stuff like blonde sand, gold. It's all going to get caught up in that big grip. So when I pick this up, there's more than just magnetics in this material right here. Let me demonstrate that to you. I'm going to drop it into a pan, shake it around a little bit, and then I'm going to pick up the rest of that black sand that's in there. Now, if you take a look, there's a lot more material in there than what was black sand. That's the issue. Some of this can be gold. In fact, I can see gold in there. So we would have lost gold if we would have just taken this black sand and put it in our trash bucket. So we're going to get that out of there. We're going to dump it back in there again and do another pickup. We're going to keep doing that. I got some more material. Pick up, drop. Pick up, drop. And I keep doing that until when I'm picking up everything clean. So we're clean now. So this black sand is ready to set aside. It is no longer useful or no longer containing any more gold. So we're going to take this black sand and we're going to be able to set it aside. Now I'm going to do this for all of my sizes. From 1/8 inch, 8 to 16, I've got the 16 to 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 100, and then my minus 100 size. I've got some work to do. You want to help? Very good. We've got everything processed down. We've got everything busted away from the gold in the garbage in the black sands. They're all separated into their separate trays. Take a look at all this stuff that we've just taken care of. Now here's all the minus 100 mesh stuff. And look at all of this black sand that we're not going to have to fight anymore. We got the 100 to 50, then we got our 50 to 30, and we got our 16 to 30, and we got 8 to 16, and then our plus 8. So those are all the different types of magnetite that was locked up in there, that if you tried to pan all this stuff, that's the black sand you'd be fighting with, whether you're doing it with a pan, a blue bowl, a spiral wheel, a Miller table. That's the stuff. We just took the fight out of it. Now we can have fun. Let's go to the water pan, and we'll do some actual panning. I'm going to show you the rub your belly, pat your head technique. All right, we've got everything put together. We've got the water all taken care of, everything except a surfactant. Now what a surfactant does is it takes care of that water spider highway. Now the water spider highway is the surface tension that it walks on. We need to make that as thin as possible, because even though gold is 19 times heavier than water, that gold can get stuck on surface tension and float away. Gone is gone. If you don't want to lose your gold. So we're going to make that surface tension as thin as possible. And we're going to do that with a jet dry. Now a jet dry is used in an automatic dishwashing solution to be able to take and spread the spots out, make your water thinner so it doesn't leave spots, and that's what we're going to do in here. Now you can use a jet dry, you can use a Dawn detergent. The cheaper the detergent, the better. Okay, if you've got a detergent that's got good for your hands, it's not good for your gold. All right, so cheap, nasty stuff, you got it. That's what we're going to do for the water. And just a quick little squirt. That's it. That's all you need. And then we're going to go ahead and just kind of like just move that around a little bit, get that all mixed in. We're ready to go. Now we're going to use this big pan here as a catch pan. So if we need to go through our material again, we can go through it out of that pan. Now one of the rookie mistakes that people make is not having their pan treated, not having it ready for getting that fine gold. Now when I'm talking about it not being ready for fine gold, if you take a look at that, see how that water just kind of beads up on it? Looks like a nice car commercial for a wax. That's not the way we want our pan to work. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take like 100 grit sandpaper. Then with 100 grit sandpaper in a brand new pan, we got to get the oil off of it, and we've got to rough up that surface so the water can spread out on it. So I've got some 100 grit sandpaper here, and I'm just going to take and just start scrubbing that surface on there. I'm going to get it all nice and rough. Now, since all we're doing is using the bottom of the pan for final finished fine gold recovery, I don't care about what's happening on the side of my pan. We're not going to use it anyway. So just get that all sanded down. Now once that's sanded down, we can throw some water in there, and look at that. That bottom of that pan is staying wet. When the bottom of your pan is able to stay wet everywhere, then you are ready for panning. Let's go panning. When we have a little bit of material in your pan, we want to make sure that we know exactly where our gold is. We want it down in the deepest part against that middle right there. We want it all to go there. And the only way to get that gold there is to make sure your water is behaving properly. You don't want to wiggle it like this, because what's going to happen with wiggling it, I'm stronger this way than I am this way. All right, so you can either take your both hands on both sides of the pan and center it like that. See how the water is doing exactly the same thing on both sides? So that means the gold is in the middle. Now, if you're not a two-handed person, then you can do it with one hand and use just the pivot of your elbow. Lock your wrist and get that same action going just with using your elbow. not doing the rest. Now that we've got our water completely centered, our gold is completely centered, now what we're going to do is what they call a backwash. And we're going to take and have all of our material in the back, and we're going to wash off of it. You see how that works? It's just barely coming off. And then you just keep an eye on it. Everything in your pan is the same size. So if everything in your pan is the same size and you've got gold in there, the golden rule, if everything in your pan is the same size, gold rules, well, there's no gold in there. So we'll get this transferred into the pan, and we'll get the rest of that +8 material, and we'll do exactly the same thing. We're going to get into the fun stuff now. We're going to get into the 8 to 16 size. I know there's some pretty good gold in that size because when I was sampling out at the river, I saw a lot of that stuff. We're going to take just enough to mess with. We don't care about having all of it in there at once. We just want just enough to mess with. We're going to take and center our gold. And then we're going to be doing that panning action, the backwash. And you keep an eye out to see if there's any gold showing up. Well, gold is where you found it. We didn't find it here. All right. Didn't find it there. Maybe it's in the bottom of this one because gold goes deep, right? Let's hope. Let's put a little more in there. We're going to center our gold again. And then we're going to do the wash. You see how the water just kind of goes up the sides? That's what we're looking for. Just a couple of taps in there. Oh, we got some gold this time. Look at that pretty stuff in there. So we got a couple of nice pieces there, and 3 nice pieces there, and a floaty here. That's not gold. So we're going to go ahead and get that material, that gold, taken out of there, get it transferred into the snuffer bottle, and get down a little bit farther into the rest of this. I'll bet you there's more material into the remainder of that material than there was at the top of that. So this is going to be our final count of the 8 to 16. Back and forth. And then we'll wash. Now there's a lot of people that when you watch them pan, and you may do it yourself, you tap the pan. There's a couple of different reasons for tapping the pan. One of them is just a slight bump to help liquefy things. So just a slight bump just to liquefy things, and it'll allow that material to process faster. Okay, that's just a slight bump. The other thing that will happen is if you're wanting, let's say that you've got a piece of gold off in the middle someplace. You got a piece of gold out there. You see them? And I want that gold to go back up on the edge. If I start tapping, look what happens to that piece of gold. Okay, that piece of gold just crawled right up on the edge. If you tap correctly, the tap is going to create the direction for your gold to go. If you tap incorrectly, the gold's not going to know what to do, and it's going to seem like the tap is very ineffective. Let me show you exactly how the tap works best. If you notice the side of the pan, you see the angle of that pan? That's the direction that you want to tap, okay? You want to tap straight down that direction. You don't want to tap on the side, and you don't want to tap on the top. You want to tap down the direction of the pan, because what that's going to do is going to create a jumping motion. a jumping motion that your gold, since it's so heavy, it's going to be the first back down to the bottom. There's enough grit at the bottom of the pan, and when all that grit is there, that gold's going to capture that grit and go up toward the tap on the rebound. Everything else is trying to settle. So when you're tapping this, you kind of hold it as high up as you can and then tap. All right, so that's what it's going to take to get that gold to stay up at the top of the pan. Now, the other thing that you can do, let's see, I'll show you what gold we're playing with here. See that nice stuff in there? Got some pretty gold right there. Pretty stuff. All right, now watch. I'm going to take and just spread this out a little bit, and I want you to see how the gold will react to the tap. Okay, you see all that gold up there? Just like that, that gold went up against the edge. And now we can just take, the snuffer bottle and suck it up. Just like that, it's gone. All right, we'll go through this one more time, and that's one of the important things about not having so much in here that you're having to transfer material out. I haven't taken any material out of this, so if there was gold in there, it's still in there. It's not in my catch pan, my safety pan. So I'm going to go through this again. I got everything down there centered. Do a backwash. And we'll see if we got any gold left in there. Some of my material's a little bit locked up. I'm just going to tap a little bit, just a small tap, just enough to create a vibration. Not enough to move gold or anything, just enough to make vibration. And we didn't miss any gold. Everything in there now is nice and clean. There's no more gold left in there. So that was our gold from our 8 to 16. Let's look at what we got out of that 8 to 16 in the 8 to 16 tray. Let's take a look at the gold that was in there. Now I got a couple of floaties. Let's start over. We're going to pull the bottle off, pull the cap off the bottle. I'm going to hold your finger over top of the port, turn it upside down so all of our gold is down by your finger. We're going to take and make like a little tornado in there and just let it pour over your finger. And there's our gold. Okay, so that's a better look at the gold. So that's 8 to 16. All right, we're going to go ahead and put that back in the snuffer bottle. Gold just crawls to the edge. Let me tell you another thing about this particular pan that I've chosen. This pan right here is a pan that I use because green works good with my eyes. Some people like terracotta, some people like black. Black is good to see the gold, but it's hard to see the black sand, all right? So I like the dark green. The other thing I like about this pan is actually the drop bottom. You see this part that I'm holding on to? It's about 1/4 of an inch of drop straight down. That's what happens on the inside. We have that 1/4 inch drop straight down. When I'm tapping the side of this, gold can come across and start climbing the side. But with that drop bottom, the gold hits it and it's like bam, it's like smacking it up against the wall. It's just going to stay there. So we don't lose track of our gold. When you get down below 250 mesh into the non-visible range, you have to know where your gold is, and you have to trust that it's there, and the better your equipment, the more retention you're going to have of that even finer gold. If you have just way too much material, let me show you a couple of techniques if you just dump the whole thing in there. All right? So we've got the whole thing in there, and there's not enough room to actually do the backwash and tap. There's just not enough room. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to minimize this material. Remember what we were talking about, the side-to-side motion? Okay, some people do this, you know, kind of shake it up in a big circle. Well, you don't know where your gold is. See, just to prove a point, if I'm going to be washing this stuff out, look at that gold that's all the way up here. See that gold right there? There's a piece there, piece there. You see that gold? That stuff is supposed to be underneath there. If you've got your material going round and round and shaking in circles and stuff, you may be settling your gold, but you're not putting it where you know where it is. If you know where your gold is, you'll never lose it. So we have to get it down in the bottom corner, buried. You should never see your gold until you're ready to do it, the final backwash. All right, so we've got all that in there. I'm going to take everything from side to side and then start tipping forward. So I'm flat, and I'm going to start tipping forward, keeping that side-to-side motion going. Side to side, start tipping forward, and now you're going to see where that material just gets to the end. I'm going to stop right there. I got to let this material lock up, all right? It can't be all fluidy. It needs to lock up. And you can see there's no gold up here anymore because now my gold is buried deep and protected. Now we're just going to wash off the top stuff. When we wash off the top stuff, we almost have to stand the pan straight up, and we can just go into the water and let the top wash off. You see how that is just washing off like that? You can do that a couple of times. Bring it back down again, side to side. Start tipping forward. See, we're still not seeing any gold. Just wash off a couple of times. Now I'm down to not very much material. Now I'm going to take a look at where my gold is. Now this is just called fanning the gold. Watch what happens here when I fan this out. We haven't seen any gold yet, right? How about that? Just like that, I knew, even though we hadn't seen any gold at all before, I knew that if it was in there, that fanning back like that's going to show me exactly where the gold is. We're going to take all of our material and get it centered in the back here. Now, if all we do is the wash, see that black sand, it just kind of like hangs there. But what will happen is if you add the tap at the same time, it will loosen all of that black sand up. So I'm going to hold it close to the top and get my wave going. And then I'm going to take and tap here. All right. So when I get that tap going, look what happens. My gold is going to the tap and my black sand is washing away from it. So just like that, I've got all of that black sand off my gold. Get a couple more washes there. A couple more taps. Just like that, we've got clean gold. Isn't that cool? I got a couple of little black sand pieces in there. There we go. We got them washed away. But that's all it takes with getting the motion of the water and the percussion of the tap to get the gold moving the direction you want it to go, and the black sand loosened up to be easily washed away from it. Let's talk about snuffer etiquette. There's some good things you can do with a snuffer bottle, like getting the gold, and there's some bad things you can do with a snuffer bottle, like blasting your gold out. All right, we don't want that to happen. And this is the way that people lose gold with a snuffer bottle and keep it. The keep it part is because of this tube. You see the way this tube goes all the way through? When you've got that tube in that bottle and this thing is all the way upside down, the gold is going to stay closer to the cap. If the gold is staying closer to the cap, it can't go out the tube when you expel the water. You can squeeze it out. All right? Now, here's the problem though. gold sticks to surface tension. Inside this bottle, that water level in there could have surface tension. If the gold is floating on that surface tension and you give this thing a squirt, you could run your gold down the drain. And that's not what we want to do. We want to keep this gold. We will never want to do catch and release with your gold that you found. All right, so we're going to have, anytime that you squirt this bottle out, you don't squirt it out over the rocks, you don't squirt it in the river, you don't squirt it at your buddy. Always discharge the extra water in the pan itself. If the gold comes out in the pan, you've got it in control. We don't want to lose our gold. All right, now once you've got this bottle completely squeezed down, then when you release it, it's going to create a suction. It's going to vacuum up your gold, and that's what we want to do. So you just take and make sure that your gold is completely underwater. It's completely underwater. You expel all the extra stuff, all the water, extra air, everything out of your snuffer bottle. You sit it right in front of your gold, and as you release, it'll pick right up. Okay, see how we just picked all that gold up? It's like a little vacuum cleaner. And if you look, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's gold down to the bottom of that snuffer bottle. That's where it's supposed to be. That way we can take it home. We've just gotten the gold from this as we've transferred the material from one pan to another, instead of what we started out doing, just only keeping the amount that we can keep under control in our pan. Let's just check ourselves and see if we lost any gold. We're going to take all this material here that we transferred out. We're going to put it back in our pan. And we're going to go through and do exactly what we did the first time. So it'll be kind of like a refresher lesson for you. Back and forth. When it gets to the end, quit. Let it lock up. Wash out the top of it. Do that a couple of times. Bring it back down, flat. Go forward a little bit. Wash it out a couple of times. Bring it back down flat. Go forward a little bit. Wash it out a couple of times. Now we've got just down to that black sand. We're going to bring it all back down to the bottom. We're going to do that rub your belly, pat your head technique. And that's exactly why we don't do it that way, because you can transfer gold out of your pan. As good as you are, and as good as I think I am, I still would have missed that gold. So never do your cleanup in a stream. Always do it in a pan. Always do it completely in control, so you don't discard and discharge any of that gold. Got it now.
Yeah, I know. I have my doubts. You know, I know Mike, he's probably the best fine gold guy out there, but I'm telling you, I gave him a challenge, and I am not too sure whether he can really do it or not.
Now we're going to do the 30 mesh to 50 mesh. Everything fit through the 30 screen, but would not go through the 50. We're going to get our material in there, get it washed away like we did, centered. We're going to center everything inside the pan so we know where our gold is. And then we're going to start the wash and the tap. It's called rub your belly, pat your head. I'm a professional because I can talk without biting my tongue at the same time. Okay, now look at that. We got quite a bit of that gold in there. Isn't that cool? That's what I'm talking about. I'll continue doing this for the entire 30 to 50, and then we'll get into a 50 to 100. We're starting to get into some itty bitty stuff. It's a lot of fun. Here we go. We just got into our 30 to 50 mesh gold. That is really where we start saying it's fine gold. And we're going to be getting into the 50 to 100 mesh gold here in just a second, and we'll show you what really fine gold looks like. But right now, let's put all of our gold together to see how we're doing so far. Have a look at this. That's the 30 to 50 and everything else. All right, we're doing pretty good here. A bunch of 30 to 50 mesh all the way down to our +8 size. We're doing pretty good. You know what? When we get through that 50 to 100 and 100 minus, Red's going to see we're getting more than he put in there. He's going to have to eat Golden Crow.
I'm looking forward to seeing. I know he's in there filming right now, so I'm sure it's getting pretty close to the end, and I'm anxious to get in there and see. Actually hope that he does find more gold. That's better for me, but you know, let's not expect a whole lot out of this, because like I said, this is quite a challenge for him.
All right, now we're getting into the 50 to 100 mesh size. We're getting into that fine gold, and we're going to recover every bit of it. We're going to take a little bit at a time and put it in there, and we're going to do exactly the same thing we did from our larger sizes. If you start from large to small, it will make sure that you're practicing, and you're going to get darn good at it by the time you get down to that little stuff. Let's see what we get in our first batch. Back and forth, and then we're going to peel off that top, get that rub your belly, pat your head technique going. Good thump on it. You know, the finer the gold, you really need to get a good sharp thump on that thing. All right, take a look at that little stuff in there. We got a bunch of it in there. I can't wait to get to the bottom of that entire 50 to 100 batch. All right, I got some work ahead of me. It should take me about 20 minutes, and I'll be able to show you the rest of it. This is the bottle tap technique. I learned that from Red, but don't tell him I'm giving him credit for anything. It'll go right straight to his head. All right, we got the 50 to 100 mesh fine gold panned out. Come here and take a look at what we've got in here. I actually put a dime in there so you've got a little bit of perspective on how itty bitty this stuff is. See how small that is? Itty bitty stuff. Boy, I tell you what, old Red, he's going to be surprised when I got all this stuff handed back to him. Maybe I shouldn't hand it back and admit defeat.
I personally think, yes, Mike can get it, plus maybe a little more.
All right, here we go. We're actually going to go into the 100 minus. We're going into the itty bitty. This stuff is like powder. Look at this stuff, just like little fine powder. And somewhere in there, there's gold, and we're going to find it. Start out with just a little bit at a time. Get it all centered. Back and forth. And start panning it back. A little bit of tapping. Now this is going to be a little harder to see because most of the gold that's in here is really, really tiny. The visible range of gold goes down to 250 mesh, or 250th of an inch. And that makes it, if you've got human, unassisted, healthy eyes, then you'll be able to see that one little speck of gold. But once it gets down below 250 mesh, it's like it's not even there. You can't see it. There's nothing to focus on. But when you tap it all along the side, all that 400, 300, 200 mesh gold will go right up to the edge and form that smiley face just like I showed you. So trust your pan, trust your technique. If the gold's in there, it'll be where it's supposed to be. Let's get after this 100 mesh gold. All right, we didn't have a lot of 100 mesh minus gold, but we got quite a bit. Have a look down here and we'll show you that gold next to that dime. You see it right up next to the dime there? There's probably a couple hundred pieces there, but when it's that small, it doesn't add up real fast. But we got it now. We got her now, so happy day. Okay, we've got all of our gold inside of our pan. Now we're going to get it from the pan into the snuffer bottle and then into the vial. But first I want to show you gold can float. It can get stuck to the surface tension of the water. Watch what happens when I bring the surface tension up to the gold. See that how it picked up those pieces? There's probably about 100 pieces in that little float right there. See all that gold floating? And people say gold's too heavy to float. They say gold can't float. It's 19 times heavier than water. But if it's so small that it can't break through surface tension, it's as good as gone. It's going to float away on you. So that shows you right there it can float. Well, let's get this stuff out of the pan. We'll get it out of the pan into a snuffer bottle. When I have the snuffer bottle with a tube on it. We're going to take and just squeeze everything down and just chase the gold right out. Okay, and when we discharge the snuffer bottle, make sure you do it in the pan itself so you don't lose any gold. So we've gotten all the gold out of there, and it's all in the snuffer bottle now. Now to get it out of the snuffer bottle, oh, I see some more gold. It was caught on this side over here. That's why we do stuff in a pan. We always want to make sure we can keep track of the gold there. All right. Now we got it all. All right, now we're going to take this cap off here, and we're going to replace it with one without the tube in it. Now it just becomes a funnel with a reservoir. We're going to take that snuffer bottle and we're going to fill the vial with water. We're not squeezing our gold in there, we're just filling it with water. Gold hates jumping across air bubbles. So we're going to get all the air bubbles out. You can see there's no air bubbles between the tip and the gold vial. There's one last one right in there, it's gone. All right, now we're putting that together. And when we put that together, we're going to take and we're going to tip the whole thing up, and we're going to make the water in the snuffer bottle go round and round. That centers everything in that vial, and all the gold drops back down inside. Now we take a look at the snuffer bottle, look at the bottom, there's nothing in there. There's no gold left in there, so our gold is in the snuffer bottle itself. All right, now we've got everything out of the snuffer bottle and into the vial. Closing the vial is a very important step as well. If you just take this cap and crank it down, it creates hydraulic pressure that can actually bust this glass. You're pretty safe with plastic, but glass you got to be careful of. So if you want no bubbles in there so you can see it, the best thing to do is you can put it underwater, get all the bubbles out, get your cap with all the bubbles out, and then you just take and you tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose. You do that a couple of times to release the hydraulic pressure. All right, once you have that done, now we can take a look at the gold that's in that vial there. Ain't that pretty? Well, Red, it's time.
I know. Let's see what happens.
In my defense, maybe the scale was wrong. In your defense,
To start with,
yeah.
you mean? I don't think so. We started with 2 grams, I know.
All right.
So what, are you having doubts now?
You know, I don't know. But on the other end of the coin, there might have been some gold in there.
Already, yeah. Sure, there could have been.
So I'm
Nobody knows.
I'm hoping for my sake and for your sake that you're coming out of this with more gold.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's turn this scale thing on here. Wait for it to zero out. Are you ready for this?
Dun, dun, dun.
do like that slow pour of millions of dollars. Okay. There's 0.1. There's 0.2. All right, we're just going to do the dump. Oh my God, it's 2.2 grams.
Oh.
Man, is my calibrated hand right on or what?
What, you called that?
It did.
All right.
Yeah.
Win. You win, but I win too.
Yeah, you get more gold.
No, that's pretty good.
That is awesome. 2.2 grams.
Put her there, man.
I tell you what, this is awesome, awesome. I tell you
are
what,
the man.
if you guys want to be able to get all your gold, you have to get everything classified down. If the golden rule applies, if everything in your pan is the same size, gold rules. That is the only way to get all that gold out of there. Break it down into batches, and you get to take all that gold and put it in a vial. That's happiness.
That's some good advice. Now here's some other good advice. Don't fry bacon naked.
Oh, God.